Good morning. Just close the door. Ooh. It's a little dark today. Is that okay for everybody? Here it is.
Yeah, it's nice.
Great, yeah. Better than the overhead lights. Natural light. All right. Thanks for being here. So let's begin. We can tuck our thumbs into our fingers, find a comfortable seat. You can close your eyes or you can just soften your gaze. And we can invite our attention to the body and the sensations of the body, the alignment of the body within gravity. Taking a moment to feel the ground underneath us, acknowledging the earth and the substance of the earth and of our bodies. And expanding awareness to include the breath, moving into and through the body and feeling how the breath reveals more of our body and our physical sensations to us. Breathing deep into the body. And maybe taking a moment to just explore if deep in the body means breathing deep into the lower dantian, or breathing deep into the body is throughout the whole body, deep into every cell of the body. All the different ways that breathing deep into the body can be. Just allowing that to be the focus of the mind. And as you're ready, we can bring our hands together and warm up our hands, maintaining an awareness of our alignment, our physical sensations, our breath deep in our bodies. And then we can take a nice deep breath in together. And shake it out. Rubbing the palms together. And just noticing the inhalation and the exhalation. It doesn't have to be a particular kind of way, but just notice as you inhale and notice as you exhale. take our hands and massage our faces, up and out, or any other way that feels appropriate. And then from here, the hands can just move over the scalp. The fingertips can massage the scalp, the whole scalp from the midline to the edges of the forehead and over the ears and around the base of the skull and everywhere in between. Just take some time doing this. Find a way of doing it that feels good, that feels nourishing. All these points on our scalp, they have a lot to do with our orifices of perception. Our ears, our eyes, our nose. So whether those orifices are a little obstructed by seasonal allergies or phlegm or obstructed by too much news, too many thoughts and ideas about how things are and how they should be and what's going to happen, we can just clear that out and just be with what is right now. Don't know what's happening or what will happen. Just see, hear. And you can slow it down and maybe just gently going front to back in an easy way, just soothing our minds, our nervous systems, our brains. And as you're ready, the hands can slide down the back of the neck, nice and easy. Take your time as the hands come around the base of the neck. And then a nice deep breath in. Shaking it out. Rubbing the palms together. And let's take our hands and we can cup our hands over our eyes. Gentle pressure to the eye sockets. The eyelids can be opened or closed. Just again, continuing on with this opportunity to rest. To not have to know. Just be with the sensations of right now. No need to construct a reality. And again, a nice deep breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together and breathing. Taking the base of the left hand in between the eyes and just gently drawing the hand across the forehead and off to the side. Just seeing if you can use this movement to help to relax or alleviate any tension that might exist in between your eyes and your eyebrows and the muscles of your forehead. Maybe we've been spending too much time looking at screens, furrowing our eyebrows, trying to understand. So just letting that relax. Just feeling into that subtle difference of moving outwards and allowing the universe to come inwards. That subtle difference between seeking and receiving, like taking a breath versus receiving a breath. And whenever you finish your next pass, with whichever hand you're using, a nice deep breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together, breathing deeply. Now we'll take the edge of our thumbs to the sides of our nose and gently massaging from the base of the nose up to the bridge of the nose in between the eyes and back and forth. And if you need to spend a little more time up near the bridge of the nose or a little more time down the edge of the nostrils, you can do that. Feel where you need it, where you need some attention or focus or pressure or whatever, and then give yourself that. And again, deep breath in. Shake it out. Rubbing the palms together and breathing. Placing the tips of the thumbs on either side of the mouth, one hand below, one hand above, and we'll massage back and forth. Massaging our lips and our gums, which will often generate saliva, and so just allow the saliva to pool in your mouth until it feels appropriate to swallow it down deep into the body. Deep breath in and out. Freshening up the chi in our hands, noticing the sensation of the hands as they rub together. How do they feel? How does the alignment of your body feel? How does the breath moving into and through your body feel? And then we can take our palms and make forward circles over our ears. And a deep breath in and out. Rubbing the palms together and breathing deeply. And in the self-shoulder massage, left arm to the right shoulder, alternating side to side, taking your time. Just exploring different ways of doing this and seeing if you can find a way of doing it that requires the least amount of effort. And feel free to adjust your intention or adjust how you're doing it so that it feels good. Maybe landing a little softer feels good. Maybe landing a little heavier feels good. Maybe close to your neck or closer to your shoulder joint is where it feels really good. So check things out. Try different stuff. Listen to your body. Let's do one more on each side. And a nice deep breath in. And out. Rubbing the palms together. And then let's do our alternative method of opening our chests. So we can start with one hand. Let's start with the right hand, and we can make a beak or a soft fist or even an open hand and just patting along the collarbone, maybe just above the collarbone and just below the collarbone, maybe even right on the collarbone, and working along that edge of the collarbone, above and below, from the edge of the sternum out to the shoulder joint. And if you're working above the collarbone, you might find there might be some very sensitive spots, so honor those. Be gentle. Working underneath the collarbone, you may also find some very sensitive spots. So take your time and just feel. Working into that hollow space underneath the collarbone. And then coming closer to the sternum. And then working down along the edge of the sternum, in between the rib spaces, and maybe even on those ribs themselves. And again, you may find some very sensitive spots. So take your time, be gentle, spend some time where there's sensitivity. Adjust how you're stimulating these points so that you don't necessarily want to avoid the sensation. And it still might not be the most pleasant thing in the world, but you can be with it, breathe into it, and just feel what it feels like in areas where you may be holding some tension. Feel what it feels like to be a little uncomfortable. Working all the way down the edge of the sternum. And then slowly working your way back up. And back out to that hollow space near the shoulder underneath the collarbone. And when you're ready, you can then open your hand and gently massage that area from the top of the shoulder and above the collarbone to the collarbone itself and underneath, maybe even down the edge of the sternum where we were just tapping. And then let's change sides. So left hand going to the right shoulder, the right collarbone. And again, take your time to feel what's here. There's often a lot here. Above the collarbone, in this hollow space above the collarbone, in this shoulder well, there's a pretty potent acupuncture point. The name of the point is called the broken basin, or the cracked basin, because this area is kind of like a little bowl. But from this area, things do drain down. So it's like a basin, but it's got a crack in it. Things can move out and down. But sometimes they accumulate here. We don't let it move down. And so just see what has accumulated in this area. See if you can allow it to move and to drain. And you can work along the collarbone itself. You can work underneath the collarbone, close to the shoulder and along the edge, close to the sternum, maybe working back and forth, maybe spending extra time anywhere that feels like it needs it. And as you're ready, you can start to work along that edge of the sternum, the breastbone. Finding any areas that feel exquisitely tender and being gentle with them, but not avoiding them. Developing a capacity to be with what is a little uncomfortable, a little challenging, a little tender. Just allow it to be felt. Remember to breathe. And we don't have to know why it's tender, what's there, why it's there. We don't need to know. We can just be with it. Just honoring it. Acknowledging it. Maybe even asking, what do you need? What would be helpful? Sometimes something is helpful. Sometimes the most helpful thing is nothing. Working your way all the way down to the bottom edge of the sternum. And working your way back up slowly, and again, spending extra time anywhere that feels like it would like some extra time. And when you're ready, you can open your hand and then just massage the collarbone above and below, the hollow space, the edge of the sternum. And then with soft fists, we can do both sides. Close under the collarbone, close to the sternum, and then working down the sternum. Gorilla pats. Breathing. Maybe doing some audible exhales. Working our way down to the bottom of the sternum, onto the lower ribs, maybe opening the hands and patting the lower ribs, or maintaining soft fists if that's what feels good. And whenever you need to, you can transition onto just gently massaging the lower ribs. And from the lower ribs, you can massage onto the abdomen, bringing one hand over the chest and one hand over the abdomen. And whenever you'd like, you can switch which hand is on top and which hand is on the bottom. Eventually, bringing both hands over the abdomen. And each hand can do its own thing, or you can bring your hands together, massaging the lower ribs, massaging the belly, maybe visualizing the organs inside the belly. And as you're ready, you can bring your hands around your waist to the lower ribs, the area of the kidneys and the lower back. And when you're ready, you can draw your hands out, shake them out. Rubbing the palms together. Nice deep breath in. After all that work, let's give our arms a massage. So we'll start with the left arm, tapping the fingertips, running up the outside and down the inside. Going with the flow. You can go fast or slow. Try different things. And up one more time, and then down. Tapping the fingertips on the other hand, up the outside, down the inside. And up one more time, and then down. Big breath in. Shake it out. Rub the palms together. You can bring your feet out in front of you. And then we can massage our feet with our hands. If you can't reach your feet, you can massage your knees, or your ankles, or your calves, or your thighs. Massage somewhere on your lower body. And if you're massaging your feet, be sure to work in between the long bones on the top of your feet and the bottom of the foot, and maybe even squeezing and pressing the edge of your foot that's facing up towards you. Spending any time on any spots that feel like are asking for some extra time. And then as you're ready, you can follow the funnel down on the bottom of your foot or on the back side of your knee and just apply some gentle pressure there. And then from there, you can move your hands up the inside of the legs and around the hips and down the outside. Find what amount of pressure feels appropriate in this moment, and what speed feels appropriate. And what feels appropriate may change. And up one more time, and around and down and out the feet. Nice deep breath in. Shake it out. Rub the palms together one more time for now. And then you can tuck your thumbs back into your fingers. Let your hands rest back on your thighs. And return awareness to body and the alignment of your body. Allow the breath to move deep into the body. And allow that to be the focus of the mind. And whenever you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Excuse me. Right. Yes, question.
I know with the head massage we probably stimulated our vagus nerve, right? In the neck.
Oh, sure. Possibly.
Oh, I was just... are there other parts of the body that we also stimulate the vagal nerve, like in the feet?
Yeah, that's a good question. For those online, the question is about, are we stimulating the vagal nerve when we're doing our head and neck massage or anywhere else in the body? It's possible. I don't know.
All nerves.
Yeah. When I learned this, I didn't learn it specific to the vagal nerve or vagus tone, but I do think by bringing awareness to our body and our breath and attending to ourselves in this way is definitely going to help to relax the nervous system, to down-regulate the sympathetic nervous system, which allows parasympathetic rest and digest to come more online, which is very much about, I think, supporting vagal tone and the vagus nerve. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything else? All right. So today is the first day of the 5th phase of fall. So there's 6 phases total, so we have one more. So the phases last for about 2 weeks. So, you know, the 6th phase of fall will start, I guess, somewhere in the 20s of October, and then go through that first week of November or so, and then winter will begin. So this is the 5th phase of fall. The name of this phase is called cold dew. And, you know, it's pretty obvious what cold dew means, right? There's going to be cold dew on the ground, because we've talked about in the fall, we have cold air in the atmosphere, and that condenses, consolidates moisture, and pushes it down. And that's what's happening to the trees. They're withdrawing their fluids, their sap from their branches, and moving it down into the roots. That's what's happening in our bodies. The cold causes things to move in and move down. That's why autumn is associated with dryness. This is a dry time of year. And, you know, some of you may experience that yourselves, maybe feeling a little more dry, maybe dry sinuses, dry lips, dry skin. You know, it's not uncommon for people to get nosebleeds this time of year, especially in this area, just because everything is so dry. And so, you know, we want to kind of balance that out with warmth and moisture, because it's cold and dry. And so some of the things that are in abundance right now, provided by nature, are things like pears, which are very moistening, very nourishing, especially to our lungs and sinuses and skin. Things like squash and pumpkins and all of these things that are associated with fall, like all the stuff that's coming out of the cornucopia in all of the decorations. You know, these are things that are very moistening to our tissues, and they're full of nutrients. That's why they're orange and yellow and red and things like this. And so they have lots of good phytonutrients that we need. They have a lot of the moisture that we need. To be able to really eat a squash, you have to cook it well. And so it's going to be warm, it's going to be soft, it's going to be easy to digest. So those are some things to keep in mind. Also, the fact that it is colder means that we have to adapt, just as the animals in nature are adapting, right? Like thicker coats are starting to happen on the animals. And so we don't necessarily have fur that we can just make more of, but we can dress warmly. We can acknowledge that it is colder, and so maybe wearing longer sleeves, maybe wearing socks when we're outside, things like this. This is just the nature of nature. It's cold dew. If you're walking around in the mornings and the ground is wet and cold and you have bare feet, that may compromise your immune system a little bit, because it's going to cause everything to contract in your body. When things are contracted and stuck, they're not circulating and perfusing smoothly and easily. So, you know, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So just acknowledging that. Okay. So that's that about that. So now what we're going to do is we'll continue on with our practice of Tai Chi as Qigong, or Taiqigong, we can call it that. And we've been working on it the past couple weeks, you know, and we've been taking it very slowly, very easily. And so we'll continue to do that. This form that we're kind of slowly working our way into, it has 9 movements total. And I think so far we've just gotten through the first 3. And so we'll do the first 3, and then we'll get into the 4th movement today, which is really, I think, the most involved of all of the movements. And it's not hard. It just has more to it. But it's also, I really love this movement. I feel like you can do just this movement by itself, and that's just a great practice. And so, we'll review what we've done so far, and then we'll work on this 4th movement. We'll also spend a little bit of time reviewing the weight shifting and the pivoting of the feet, standing in place, just legs, and then we can bring the arms in with it as well. Okay, and as we're going along, you're always welcome to ask questions, you know, in the middle of everything. If something's up, if something's not clear, please let me know. I'll spend some time facing you. I'll spend some time facing away from you. So hopefully it will work. And if it's not working, let me know. Okay, so anything else before we get started? Great, all right. So you can stand, and if you're not able to stand, you can do everything we're doing seated as well. So, now that we're standing, let's take a few moments and just maybe bounce a little bit, nice and easy. We can do some bouncing, we can do some shaking. If you need to bounce very subtly, because that's what your system needs, you can do that, even if it's just, shoulders just coming up and down very gently. If you want to do more, you can. You can bend your knees deeper, you can bend your elbows higher, you can turn side to side, you can swing your arms around, you can kick your legs out, just whatever you need. And again, thinking about cold, moving things in and down, like this helps to move them up and out. Bringing that warm, nutrient-rich blood that tends to hang out in our core, we get it stimulated and get it circulating all the way out into the tips of our toes and the tips of our fingers and into our nose and ears, and then back again as well. So just shaking, bouncing, loosening up, feeling into your body, letting the fluids and the blood move. Yeah, do some nice deep breaths in, audible exhales. That also helps things to move. You can blither. And as you're ready, you can just let it wind down, come to a close. Standing and just finding a comfortable, easy stance. And take a moment and lift your toes up off the ground. Let your knees soften so that you can really feel the 3 points of contact, make contact, and also spread. It's like the big toe mound and the pinky toe mound are almost reaching away from each other. And really finding that outer edge of the foot, making contact with the ground. Again, let the knees settle if you need to adjust your feet wider or narrower so that you can root into the heel bones. Rooted through the heels, we're connected to the outside edges of the feet. The ball of the pinky toe and the big toe are making contact with the ground, but they're not welded to the ground. There's an ability to be light and rooted at the same time. Yin and yang. So feeling into that. Maybe shifting the weight just gently side to side, just feeling that dynamic mobility that you have, the capacity for that, just exploring what that is. And then just easing into an easy stance, soft knees, letting the pelvis be where it is, breathing up out of the pelvis into your rib cage, finding the space on the back side of the rib cage in between the shoulder blades behind the heart, filling that with your breath, allowing that to expand the ribs and maybe even lift them up off of the lower back and the lumbar spine, allowing that lift to continue to move up the back of the neck to the back of your head so that the back of your head is lifting up and slightly back, which causes your chin to tuck slightly, which allows your collarbones to lift and spread. And so you can feel this lifting up into the sky, reaching through the back of the head. And you can also feel the rootedness down through the legs, through the heel bones, the outer edge of the feet. So you have this strong, stable, rooted lower body. You have this lifted, rising upper body. And you can allow that to spread wide with your breath, exploring that, just becoming big and full, taking up space in your body. And if you find like that maximum expression of bigness or fullness, maintain that somewhat, but you can also back off of it just a little bit so it's not so effortful and robust, but it's still engaged. There's still the lift, the width, the spread, the strength. It's solid, but not overbearing. And let's just allow our palms to come forward and the hands can raise and the weight can shift into the balls of the feet. The heels can stay on the ground, but the weight is more in the balls of the feet. And then let the palms turn down. They float down. The knees can bend a little bit. Let the weight shift back into the heels. The balls of the feet are connected to the ground, but the weight's more in the heels. Maybe the toes lift. And then coming forward, inhaling. And exhaling. Maybe the hips shift back very slightly. Coming forward, weight into the balls of the feet, the toes rooted into the ground. As you exhale, the knees soften. The hips shift back slightly, weight comes into the heels, the toes lift, hands float back, and then forward again. Moving with your breath, just nice and easy, allowing the movement to reveal your body to you. Allowing the wrists and the fingers to bend and to roll in and open out and just explore your joint mobility. We can come up one more time. And then just let the hands float back down by your sides. Take a breath. And then we can inhale the arms out and up, shift your weight towards the windows, and we'll bring our feet closer together, and the hands can float down. Take another breath in. As you exhale, sink into your knees. Inhale, step out, open towards the mirrors. Inhaling, and then exhale. Inhale, arms out and up. Shift your weight towards the mirrors. And we'll close this way. Bending the knees on your inhale, open towards the windows. Exhaling, hands float down. Inhale, shifting the weight, and closing. Take your time here. Just step out just as far as is comfortable. It doesn't have to be too far. And if it feels like it's not far enough, you can go further. Inhaling, shifting the weight, and closing. Take your time. See if you can coordinate your breath and the movement. See if you can coordinate the stepping of the foot with the movement of the hands, settling into the center. Taking your time and then inhaling. Gathering everything in and placing it down. Again, open. And exhale. And close. and out towards the windows. Let the hands settle. And now let's review our feet, the foot pivot. So you can have your hands over your belly here, just so that you can be collected, gathered. And let's shift our weight towards the mirrors. As we shift our weight towards the windows, shift our weight towards the windows, the mirror foot is unweighted, so we can lift the toes up, turn them out, and then facing the direction of this mirror foot, we can just shift our weight in that direction. And again, we don't want to go too far forward and overload the knee. We're coming into a place that's comfortable. And then we can rock back, and as we do, the toes can come up, which allows us to then pivot to the center, weight shift to the other side. Window toes can pop up, turn out, weight shift towards that foot, and then rock back, the toes come up, pivot to center, weight shift, toes can pop up, and rock forward, rock back, pivot, weight shift, toes are up, rotate, weight shift, rock back, pivot, weight shift. One more time, this way, rocking back, coming to center, shifting the weight, rocking forward, rocking back, coming to center. Good. Now let's close towards the windows. So that's the feet. And again, as we're doing that, you can adjust your feet closer together to make it a little easier. You can take a wider stance to make it a little more challenging. So now let's review some movements. Let's take a breath in. Exhale, sink. Inhale, open. Let the hands float down. And then inhale, the hands up. Lift through your elbows. And back down. Let's just do this just a couple times. So it's not the flowing motion as we typically do it, but elbows lifting, pressing up through the heels. See if you can feel that undulation, that wave of movement from the heels up through the spine, out the arms. One more in. And as you exhale, take the window hand, bring it underneath, shift your weight. So we're holding our ball, weight shifted towards the mirrors. The window toes are up and we can pivot. And then like we're throwing a frisbee with this lower hand, just opening out and shift your weight. That upper hand drops. And then we can rock back and pivot to center. As we're pivoting, this lower hand has the momentum to then pick up the ball as we weight shift. Yeah, mirror toes are up. And then toss the frisbee. Rock back. See the momentum for the lower hand as we pivot to center to gather up, picking up the ball, and then rock forward. And we don't want to go too far. Don't overextend your hand. So we're coming up about chest level with this window hand. We're about waist level with our mirror hand. Weight shifted, but not overcommitting. And then we can rock back, the toes come up, pivot to center, and we have momentum for the lower hand to pick up the ball. And we're ready to go. Rock back, pivot, pick up the ball. Other side. Rocking, rock back, pick up the ball. And so your lower hand here and your lower dantian, they're connected. So as you toss the frisbee, let your lower dantian follow your hand. And then you can rock back, come to center, The lower hand picks up the ball, and now your lower dantian will follow. Following that hand as it drifts up, rocking back, and then pick up the ball. Let's transition. We're going to turn the ball over. Let's turn it back the other way, just because this is fun. Like I think I mentioned this last time. It's like imagining we're opening some like interdimensional portal, where we're some kind of kung fu wizard, just like wah, 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 wah. So we've opened our portal. We have our window hand is underneath. It's holding the ball. And so if this lower hand drops away, the ball will fall. And so the upper hand comes to the level of the waist, and this window hand is just out about shoulder level, palm is down. We're unweighted so our toes can lift. We'll bend at the elbow so the hand comes in, and then just follow the rotation across, and then rock forward. Rock back. That gives this lower hand momentum to pick up the ball, and then we just settle in towards the mirrors, and that lower hand drops, floats out, palm down, bending at the elbow, and then rotate and rock forward. Rock back, and the momentum allows the lower hand to pick up the ball, and then we settle. And so we're breaking this down slowly, turning as the hand comes in, and then pressing. And so once we get those basic mechanics down, picking up the ball and weight shifting, just seeing if we can smooth out some of those transitions where they're all happening together. We can rock forward, rock back, picking up the ball and settling our weight towards the windows, and we drop the ball. And as the elbow bends, the torso is rotating, and then pressing forward, rocking back, shifting to center. We've got our ball, and then we can drop the ball. And turn, weight shift, rock back, gathering up the ball, settling towards the windows. So can you feel the rhythm picking up the ball as the weight shifts? The momentum is carrying us along. Rocking back, picking up the ball, and then settling, which allows the lower hand to drop. And then we turn with the body, and that pulls the elbow and the hand across. And we rock back, picking up the ball, settling into that other side. Now it's like water. You know, that phrase we've said before in different contexts. We're melting ice down into water, and the water can flow, and eventually the water becomes steam. So seeing if you can feel the icy spots in the movement, and can they melt, become a little more fluid. And really, that may be as far as you need to go. Maybe it becomes steam or steamy at times. Rock back, picking up the ball. One more time. Weight shift. Drop the ball. Elbow bends as we rotate. Here, we'll pause. We've got our window hand is low, so let's sweep it up to cross. The hand that's closest to us is the mirror hand. So it's going to come down, and we'll just let it float out to the side, and then, like we're chopping, send it forward. And that creates this momentum for the window hand to drop down and back, and then we send it forward, and we just allow this momentum to carry us along. Maybe when the arm goes out to the side, we can even exaggerate the weight shift. Maybe even to the point where that opposite foot is coming off the ground. So you can play with that. Maybe just the heel comes up. Maybe all there is a subtle weight shift. That's okay, but just feel it, explore it. You know, what I love about these movements is we're creating a kind of current, and then we just let the current carry us along. Transition, the window hand is going to sweep all the way around in front. So we've crossed the arms. The next movement, I'll demonstrate it. You can follow along and then we'll work it for a while. So the window hand is out front. So it's going to open and we're going to follow the momentum of that window hand. So the window hand now, it's going to whip around on top and we've got our ball. The lower hand now is going to pull across, following that upper hand all the way out. And like we're grabbing hold of something and pulling it down. Let the momentum carry you out. Take this window hand to the inside of the front wrist, and your front elbow will pull you across. You can pivot on that foot and then push all the way out. And then rock back. And like you're pushing someone off of you. Come to face forward. Now the mirror hand is in front. And we've got some momentum that's kind of pulled us this way. So we'll open the arms. That will pull us back towards the mirrors. The mirror hand now has the momentum to whip around and form the ball. The lower hand is going to pull us across that upper arm, and then like we're pulling something down and across. The hands float out. Take the back hand to the inside of the wrist. The front elbow will come across. We can pivot on that foot. And then push, rock back, and like we're pressing something off of us. And again, come to face forward, the arms cross. So the window hand is out front. Again, it's all about the momentum. So this outer hand, we're going to open, and it has momentum. It's pulling us towards the windows, and then we'll let that window hand come around to form a ball. Now the lower hand is going to pick up the momentum and bring us across, and then dragging down. Follow that momentum out towards the windows. The back hand comes to the inside of the front wrist, and then the front elbow brings us back, and we press. Rock back. Push. And then come back to center. Mirror hand is on front, opening the arms, following the mirror hand, and allow it to whip around, form a ball. Lower hand now picks up the momentum, drags us across and up, and then down. Follow that momentum out. Back hand comes to the inside of the wrist. Front elbow brings us across, and we can push towards the windows, rock back, and push. From here, big circle, up overhead, all the way around, off to the side. Like there's a bird, and we're feeding the bird. And then we'll let that go. All right. Good. So, let's do that movement we just did again. I'll be facing away from you. Anything up for anybody about that movement right now?
Seems like I have to move my feet a lot.
Yes. Great point. Yes. So the feet definitely with this movement, there's a lot of subtle movements of the feet. There is a phrase in Tai Chi, they call it cheat the feet. And so your feet don't ever need to be wedded to the floor. As you're moving, so for some people who are very flexible, they might not need to move their feet very much, but as much as you need to, if you're, turning towards one side or, we're over here, so my foot is definitely angled out that way. But then as I'm turning, like that foot is wanting to come in. And then this foot is wanting to turn out. And then I can push. And so allowing that to happen just as it naturally happens is totally great. The one thing to keep in mind is you don't want to pivot on a weighted leg. That's the important thing. And so again, it's not until I start to shift my weight off of this leg that then I can turn it in. So I'm weighted here, leg not moving. Now weight has shifted so that foot can move. And then as I'm turning, then, it's almost like I need to shift back so that I can do that and then come forward. Yeah, so I think if you just let it happen, it probably happens easier than I just described it. Yeah, so yeah, cheat the feet. Okay, and then this other idea of following the momentum, and this is true for all of the movements, It's like typically there's going to be a hand, like just with this very first movement, the lower hand has the momentum, and so we're letting it carry us to a point. And then as we rock back, it's like the momentum begins to shift, So I have following the momentum of this hand, but then it reaches its point, I'm kind of letting it flow all the way out. So that then as I rock back, and as I rock back, suddenly this lower hand, now it has some momentum that then comes in. And so that's really part of the mindfulness aspect of this form. And really, I think the beautiful part of it is like the more that you can feel just that subtle movement, that subtle momentum that's coming from your legs up through your core, out your arm, so that you can allow a movement to have completion and then come back the other way. That's Tai Chi as well, just doing a circle with one hand, but you're rotating from the center, and then you rotate from the center. I like to think of like an angelfish that have those big, long, ribbony tails, and so my arm is like the tail, my body is the body of the fish, and the body moves, and then the tail follows. And I want to not move my body before my tail has an opportunity to, because then you get all that torque. So you want to let it flow, and then come back. So that's happening all the time in all of these movements. So again, that's a fun thing to play with. And this is also training for our mind. So it's helping us get into the habit of doing something to completion before we move on to the next step. We've talked about that before as well. Like, how often are we not doing that? All the time when I'm thinking of myself. Okay, so we're going to start with the window hand on the inside, the mirror hand on the outside. So we have our arms crossed. When we're doing this fourth movement, the outer hand initiates the movement. So the mirror hand, we're going to open, and that has the momentum. It's bringing us to the side. Our weight is in this leg, and then we let it whip around to create the ball. And now, as we shift our weight, the lower hand picks up the momentum. So it's coming across the body, tracing out the lower aspect of that upper arm, and floats all the way out. And then like we're grabbing something and we're going to pull it down and across our bodies. And we have momentum that comes out to the side. And then we take this back hand, put it to the inside of the wrist, elbow turns, and then we can press all the way out and then rock back and push. Come back to face center. So when we do that, it just naturally happens that the window hand is now on the outside. So we can follow the window hand to that side and then whip it around to create the ball. And now this lower hand, like it's tracing the bottom of the upper arm all the way out and then down and across. Follow the momentum. Bring the back hand to the inside of the wrist and the front elbow comes across, and then we press and rock back and push. And again, with your arms this way, if you turn towards center, it just happens naturally. Mirror hand is on the outside. So we open with the mirror hand. Bring it around to form the ball. Lower hand now, tracing across the bottom of that upper arm all the way out, and then pull down and across. The arms float out, back hand to the inside of the wrist. Notice my toes are up, so I can pivot as my front elbow comes across, and then I can weight shift into that leg and rock back and push. And then again, just come back to center automatically. Window hand is on the outside, and then the window hand opens, brings me to that side, and I can whip the arm around, form a ball, trace the bottom of the upper arm, and then drag down and across. Back hand to the front wrist. Front elbow turns me. Once I'm turned, then I can push. And then I can rock back. And then press. Come to face forward. Opening. So now I'm just exaggerating the momentum a little bit. So lower hand coming across and up, and then dragging down. Back hand to the front wrist, elbow turns, and press. Rock back, and push. And again, slowly, but with exaggerated momentum. So if I come across, this window hand is pulling me here, so I need to rebound. Opening, the window hand comes down and around, and now my lower hand is ready to pick up the momentum. And then dragging down and across. Back hand to the front wrist, front elbow turns, press, rock back, and push. Coming to face forward, mirror hand has the momentum. I rebound and bring that arm around. Now the lower hand can pick it up and drag. Back hand to the front wrist, front elbow turns, and I press. Rock back and push. The transition. Here, we're going to make a rainbow. Up and over with both hands, and then it's a full circle. So now we have a beak, a bird, and we're feeding the bird. And we can let that go. All right. Yeah. How's that going? Are you feeling it a little bit in the body? Yeah, good. And, you can feel like this is a very kind of gentle type of movement, but it works your body, Like your heart rate is going, the legs are working. Harvard actually wrote a book, or they compiled a book and a lot of research that they did on Tai Chi. One of the things they found is that 20 minutes of Tai Chi, you get the same physiological effects as 20 minutes of jogging. Yeah? That's what I said when I heard it. It was like, really? So yeah, but the nice thing is that sometimes running can be hard on the joints, and it can be difficult for people. And so doing this, just this movement we just did, for like 3-4 minutes, like I'm a little winded just from doing that. And so this is really a wonderful exercise program, for strength and health. But then the other thing there's a researcher from Harvard Medical School. The way that he refers to Tai Chi is it's a multi-drug, because it's working on the physical aspects of the body, on the cognitive aspects of the body, and on, I guess there was another one, physical, well, I guess cognitive includes the mental emotional, but I think they broke that up into different parts. But, you know, so again, because there is, well, so there's the mental part of it as far as the coordination, the neuroplasticity, you're keeping track of the movement, and then there's also the emotional downregulation that happens by doing the practice. You get relaxed. So that's those, you know, mental and emotional. And then the physical, which is obvious. So this is a really great medicine that we have access to. Yeah, you know, and you practice Tai Chi for 10 minutes and you've gone on a 10-minute run. You don't even have to go anywhere.
It's so much better.
Yeah, it's nice. All right, so let's review everything that we've done so far. Would it be better if I face away or towards? Nope.
I do too.
Towards?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do the 4 movements that we've done so far. And we'll do each movement a couple times. And again, you know, as we move through the movements, we'll start with a little more kind of, you know, robotic, like finding the ball, turning, rotating out, rocking back, picking up the ball, but then we can start to make it a little more fluid as we move through the movement a couple times before we transition to the next one. And really see if you can feel the momentum. Like, again, this idea that we're creating a current with our movement, and then we can follow the momentum of that current. So it's like we're only going so far, and because we're centered, we're not just going to go here and then just keep drifting off to the side. We have a center, and so we go as far as we can away from the center before the only thing that we can do is come back. And then off to the other side. It's like this is where we have a center of gravity. And so it's like our arms, you know, it's like these planets circulating around the sun, which is our core, our lower dantian, our hearts. So that's maybe another way of thinking of it. So we'll find our stance. We're going to open towards the windows to begin. So we'll take a breath in, and then exhale, sink. Inhale, and just opening out, nice and easy, and let the hands float down. And then we'll do a nice undulation, rising up. And then the mirror hand will pick up the ball. We have our weight shift, our toes can lift, a little rotation, and then tossing our frisbee. Rocking back, coming to center, shifting the weight as we pick up the ball. Toes can lift, pivot, and again, the hand and the lower dantian, they stay in relationship. Rock back, pivot to center, pick up the ball and weight shift, off to the other side. Rocking forward, rocking back, picking up the ball and weight shifting. Again, just following the flow, rocking back. And as we're flowing, you know, it's kind of like clouds. Like, even as we make pictures, we might pause, but we never really are not moving. There's always a little bit of motion that's happening. And that's where if it feels like the movement is getting away from you, just slow down. Give yourself more time. Rocking back, weight shifting to pick up the ball, and then let's create our interdimensional portal. So the mirror hand is underneath. We're going to let that hand fall away. The upper hand comes to the level of the hip. The arm is out, the palm is down. We bend at the elbow, and the feet can pivot, and then we can press. Rock back, and the lower hand can pick up the ball, and then we can just settle towards the windows as we drop the ball. Palm down, elbow bends as we rotate and press. Rocking back, picking up the ball, As we weight shift, the momentum drops the ball, we turn, and remember to cheat the feet as needed. Allow that to happen, rocking back to center, picking up the ball, weight shift, rotate and push. Rock back, picking up the ball, weight shift, drop the ball, rotate and push. Back to center, picking up the ball. One more time, we'll drop it. Elbow bends as we turn and then push. Here, the lower hand is going to sweep up to cross. The window hand is closest to us, so for this movement, the closer arm drops down and then out to the side. We have our weight shift, and then cut. And just follow the momentum. So as you cut forward, you come to center and the weight shifts to the other side, which brings that arm out. This time, the window hand is going to sweep around. So we've got our momentum now in this outer arm, so it's going to open, bringing us to the windows, and it'll come around. We form the ball. The lower arm is going to trace down across the bottom of that arm and then down and across. Flow out. Take your back hand to the front wrist and the front elbow turns. And then push, rock back, and press. Come to face forward, the mirror hand just naturally comes across. And then we rebound open. And the mirror hand comes around on top. And the lower hand traces the bottom of the upper arm. And then we pull down and across. And the back hand comes to the front wrist, and the front elbow turns us, and then we push. And rock back. And press. Again, back to front. Follow the momentum open towards the windows. Window hand forms the top of the ball. Lower hand comes across the upper arm, and then we drag down and across. And then back hand to the front wrist, elbow turns, and then push. And then rock back. And then press, and we'll do one more, facing forward. Opening towards the mirrors. Mirror hand is on top. Lower hand picks up the momentum, and then we drag down and across. Back hand to the front wrist. Front elbow turns, press, rock back, push. From here, big circle, overhead, all the way around, bird, feeding the bird. And then we can drop the hands, gather ourselves up, and close. So, let's just do something bilateral. So let's open again. Inhale the arms out. Hips back, gather from the earth. Inhale up. Exhale. Gather from the sky. 2 more. In from the earth. In, out, in, and out. One more time. Big breath in, gathering from the earth. Inhale up, exhale, relax. This time we'll inhale up and close. And just let your arms rest by your sides. Relax. Breathe. Maybe feel the two sides of your brain trying to talk to each other, and just like allow all of that to happen. We are creating new neural pathways right now. It's in this kind of rest and recovery phase that the integration is happening, is settling in to our systems. So we don't need to know how it's happening, or we don't need to know everything about what we just did. We can just allow nature to do its thing. We've created a current. Let the momentum carry us along. It's still happening. Just feeling your feet on the ground, lifting the back of the head up into the sky, breathing 360 degrees into the rib cage, allowing the breath to move deep into the body. Bless you. And let's rub our hands together. Relax your stance, shake it out a little bit. And massaging the face a couple times, up and down. Back and forth over the top of the head. Down the back of the neck and around. The hands together, thumbs against the sternum as we drag down over the chest, through the lower ribs and the belly. Around the waist to the lower back. And then drag the hands out. Shake them out. Patting up one arm, and down, up the other side, and down, and then around and down, back of the legs, up the front, one more time, around and down, and up. Moving right along. So that's like, that's the crescendo of the form, this fourth movement. And then, it's not all downhill, but, we're moving right along. Yeah. So there will be class next week, and then in 2 weeks, I'll be out of town. So I'll be here next week, and we'll continue on with this, and we'll probably be able to get at least the next couple movements, which again we're kind of going back to just that simple rocking weight shift, and we'll get through that. And then once we get the form, then we can start introducing other things like, stepping in place, or even stepping out, and then stepping back. And so it introduces a whole new level of movement. We're still doing the same weight shift and pivot. It's the same movement, we just have a little step with it. So we're getting a little more work for the legs, and a little more coordination, and another little layer for our nervous systems to have to figure out. So it just keeps on going forever, which is great.
What is the name of the form?
I know it as, it's just the integral Tai Chi. Yeah, the 9 form. Because it's 9 movements. All right, so thank you so much. Thank you for practicing.
Thank you.
Yes, let me know if you'd like a recording of this class, and we'll see you all next week maybe, if you're here. All right, have a great rest of your day. Dress warm, moist foods. It's good for you. All right. Okay. And thank you all for being here on Zoom. Appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.